this computer. Awesome. We are officially recording, and it is 5 p.m. Friday American time, and 7 p.m. Central Time, and 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and 11 a.m. on Saturday Aussie time. So Aussies, I love you. Huge fan of your country, and all of you, and New Zealanders as well. The way I like to fire these up is I like the chat box. So throw something in there that you're grateful for, or something that you're excited about. And that's one thing that it should be easy, even in these times, these crazy pandemic times. And I'll start it off. So the one thing I give gratitude for every single day is my pulse. So people like this and say, oh, hey, we got a pulse. That's pretty good. I get a chance today. That's something good for me. So I'll take that all day long. Now let me see how I can mute. Let's see. I'm trying to, it's a little different. I want to figure out, well, if you guys could just mute yourselves, that would be great. There's a way to, everybody mute. Okay. So I think right now, without question, is the best time in all of our lifetimes to thrive. And there's such an opportunity here to rise as thought leaders. And women on the call, holy shit, there is even a more important time and a more opportune time to change family trajectories and life and family lineages by you guys stepping up. And I'm telling you, the world is starving for women leadership, okay? It is something I ask people all the time on my talks or whatever it is. When we talk about different energies, frequencies, vibrations, whatever the hell we want to call it, women operate on a different level. And there's less of you, so you have more of an opportunity, okay? We all have opportunity as thought leaders right now, but women even more so. So right now, today, is literally the best time in my opinion, human history that we'll see in all of our lifetimes to thrive. And I'm gonna get into that a little bit, but first, I want to talk a little bit about the brain, how fucking strong it is, and what we can do to kind of start to dictate, to co-create our existence, okay? Now, I have slides, so we're going to go through this and think of some questions. What I'm going to do is, there's no timeline for this. So some of these, I haven't done this on an online platform, so I usually have Q&A at the end of a keynote. So think of some questions that you want to ask. I'll stay as long as anybody wants to stay, because that means I get better too, okay? So hopefully you guys get something out of this. I might skip through some of the slides, because some of them are like when I'm in front of a live audience, okay? So I'm going to share my screen, and let's see. This should work, right? I got screens in front of me, so if this doesn't, here we go. Right here. All right. Can you guys see Implement Mindset Fitness? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, awesome. And let's see here. Somebody isn't muted. I'm just trying to find who that is. All right. Got it. Perfect. Okay. So Mindset Fitness, okay? I believe in working in our mind. I think we all start to go to the gym and we do all these things for our body because people can see it. But working out what's intangible, and to me, in my opinion, is the most valuable thing that we can do, and that's kind of what this is about, okay? So this is something that I usually talk about in front of a live audience, but I always ask people how they are. Go ask people how they are and see what they fucking say. You will be amazed at what people say. And this is what happens. I'm okay, been better, not dead yet, and today now is even worse. And we're going to talk about kind of how we're conditioning ourselves every single second or of every single day, whether we know it or not, or whether we admit it or not. So when people do that, and they're conditioning themselves by saying, oh, I'm okay, been better. No, bullshit. I'm great right now. And it doesn't matter if it's actually true or not. We're going to condition this thing, the most marvelous, miraculous, inconceivably powerful force the world has ever known, in a way that will serve us and the ones we love. I'm a speaker. I'm an implementational speaker, not a motivational speaker. I couldn't care less if you guys are motivated or inspired. I don't give a shit. What I care about is that you do one thing today that increases quality of life. And that's what I'm going to share with you. Pick one. If you like what you hear and you learn something, I always like people to share the vision. Okay. I'm going to blow through this because this is all when I'm in a live audience. Muscles and organs in the body. I'm going to go through this a little quickly, but you'd be amazed at how many muscles we have in our face. And when we smile, I think it's around 40 or 50 muscles in our face. But hands down, the most important thing is our brain. It will run everything. It acts like it's an organ, but it acts like a muscle. The more we use it, the better we get at it, better or worse, okay? We know this through the placebo effect. People know this placebo effect is 2 people are sick, 1 person gets a sugar pill, 1 person gets medicine. They both heal. What helped the person that took the placebo or the sugar pill? Their mind, okay? We know these things through hypochondriacs, people who think they're sick all the time, and then guess what? They get sick. We know this through fear. This is why it's the best time to be alive right now. Fear is a code word. Stress is a code word that we give fear. Because if I say I'm fearful, I'm weak. But if I say I'm stressful, I'm a hard worker. But really what we are is fearful. So call it what it is. So we have power over it, and it does not have power over us. We know this through elderly couples. People that have lived in health and in harmony for 90 years, and then one passes away, what happens to the other one? They die, right? Because they're thinking about loneliness, sickness, despair, all these things. There's one great all-natural antidote to fucking all of it, and it's very, very simple, and it's so simple that it's so often overlooked, and that is simply gratitude. And I'm not talking about just positive thinking. I am talking about strategy, neurochemically, biochemically, and with biological reactions that happen within your cell, okay? So I'm just going to share with you best practices, and anybody on the call wants to have this, I'll be happy to email you a copy or send you a copy. This is my gratitude poem. I read it every single day. I have not missed a day. Let me rephrase. I've missed 2 days since July 1st, 2015. I've missed 2 days of reading this. And this is something I believe gratitude to be the greatest antioxidant on the planet, the best tool to convert energy from negative to positive on the planet, and the best tool to change perspective. Okay, so I look at this as saying we should be grateful for the good stuff, but also the bad stuff or the challenging stuff. So my first thing is I am grateful for the screaming baby on the plane because it means that I can hear. And start thinking about who would kill to hear that screaming baby, okay? Think about who would be grateful to be alive today. There were people that had plans and goals yesterday that didn't make it till today. We did. The best way to honor those people is to do something with our lives today. Not next week, not the week after. So my gratitude is a challenge side and then an easy side. This is where everybody lives, on the easy side. Like Thanksgiving. In the States, when we have Thanksgiving, I had to think an attitude of gratitude for Thanksgiving because Thanksgiving happens and then we're grateful for this and we're grateful for that and then it stops. It stops the next day. So it's like, wait a minute, we can find something every day to be grateful for and start with your freaking pulse instead of bitching and complaining. The one thing I want to use gratitude for is to stop complaining. It's, in my opinion, complaining and bitching and not having a good perspective, that's the greatest pandemic on the planet, not coronavirus, okay? So this is something I use every day. It's so simple, and I teach companies actually how to write these when we talk about energies and frequencies and vibration. Everything we think, everything we do carries an energy. People are like, Ricky, why do you have so much energy? They think it's physical. It's not. It's biochemical, and I use it and create it every single day, okay? When we look at accountability, I love hyphenated words. So when we look at accountability, you got responsibility and then responsibility. My ability to choose that response. Look, man, I cannot control what's going out there. You can't, I can't, the news can't, nobody can, okay? What happens out there, we cannot control. And to try to control it is, in my opinion, one of the biggest mistakes that people can make. What I can choose is my ability to respond on what's going on out there. There's chaos and madness and just absolute destruction out there. Okay, so then how am I going to choose to respond? Am I going to go down the rabbit hole of total bullshit and complaining and fear and pump myself biochemically of fear and chemicals? Or am I going to go down a positive perspective of say, how can I learn? How can I grow during this pandemic? How can I adjust? How can I pivot? How can I serve my community? Because serve your community and your community you will not forget that. And the reason why people want to have this mentality is because it spreads like wildfire, and then you start empowering others, and that's the best feeling on the planet. The people here are probably already mentally successful or having some of these things, but you're ready to take the next level of that vitality in your mind and go to the next level. And that's kind of where I feel I like to come in. So stick with me here. This is a tough thing I've never done online. So whenever people hire me, they say, a lot of times they get hired for health and fitness. And they say, Ricky, the result that I want is I want to lose weight and be healthy. That's always what they tell me. Okay. They've been frustrated. They haven't lost weight, blah, 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 blah. And then what I say is, okay, what are the actions that you need to take there? This isn't rocket science. It's usually answered like 2 seconds in a live event. I got to eat well and I got to work out. Not fucking rocket science, right? Okay. Now, if I eat like crap and I don't work out, what's going to happen? Pretty simple. I'm going to be fat and unhealthy. I don't know about Australia, but in the States, we are one of the most obese countries in the world. But everybody says knowledge is power. If knowledge were power, we know what to do, but we don't do it. So knowledge is not power. Knowledge is potential power if we use the right part of the formula first. And what I mean by that is very simple. Now, if you think of your emotional state, your feeling, if I feel inspired, I am in spirit. That's why I hyphenate that word, in spirit, hyphenate inspired. I'm in a powerful state. I am using my emotions to create energy, to create motivation, to create inspiration for me and the ones I love. If I choose to be in that state, then I will likely take the action of eating right and working out, the results of formality. If I do not, if I am uninspired and I'm like, I could go work out, I don't want to go work out, this sucks, I'm tired, blah, 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 blah. Likely, I will get into the emotional state of uninspiration, and then I'm not going to take the actionable item to get the result that I want. Okay, so what dictates that? Whoever's on the call, my man, I'm not going to get his name right. Your Instagram is shredded. I can't get your name right, but you know who I'm talking about, and I appreciate us chatting last night. Think of whatever workout that you do, okay? Whether it's CrossFit, whether it's weights, whether it's cardio, whatever it is, picture that workout, and then think of after that workout. Think of like 60 minutes after you just crushed that workout, you're sweating profusely, you're in the hot sun or in a gym or whatever, you just dominated. Typically, when that happens, you are going to feel in this inspired state. If you think of after the workout, not what you're going to do before. If you think after the workout, you feel inspired, you choose to put yourself in that state. Now I'm in this actionable item, I can get the result. This is what happens. January 1st, people set their goals and they say, I'm going to work out for 4 hours a day. I am going to eat lettuce and I'm going to meditate for 4 hours. That's people's new vitality plan because they think the universe rewards scale. It does not reward scale. It will reward consistency. So then after willpower wears off, which is an exhaustible resource, we have nothing to rely on. We're relying on willpower instead of mental conditioning. So then what happens is maybe we just grinded it out and we're like a month and a half in, maybe even a month. And then we're up at 5 a.m. That's when everybody wants to start. And it goes, that alarm clock goes 500 and it goes beep, beep, beep. Typically what people say is after the willpower runs out, screw it, snooze, fuck it, I'm done. And if I continue to do that, my thoughts are going to dictate my feeling, my emotional state. And I can choose. The one thing that we have power on is what we're thinking about it. That's it. Okay. So when I choose to put myself in a state, I'm going to manipulate my brain to have a feeling, to literally release a chemical, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. Then I get into the actionable state. Okay. Your thought and emotional state is exactly untransactional. So over here, this is transactional. Okay. I get an action, I get a result. This is where people live. This is why we're pissed off, sad, and frustrated. I don't know about Australia, but we're taking more pills today in the States and we're the sickest we've ever fucking been. Okay. I still believe we have every resource to make ourselves abundant and awesome. This is where the champions live. It's intangible. People can't see what I think and they can't see how I feel. They can sure as hell see what I do, my action, and they can sure as shit see my result. So because you can see it, everybody goes here and we don't work out the most important thing that's going to fuel the second part of the equation. This is simply a formality. I never work here. And I work with kids, a lot of parents who have me talk to their kids and they say, my kid's got to get better grades in school. And okay, so what do? We got to study harder, we got to do homework. We got to study harder, we got to do homework. But they're not changing fundamentally how that child feels about education and learning. Change how that child feels about education and learning to put himself in an emotional state, so then he will do the homework and he will do the studying. This is applicable to anything in your life. This is if one change that you make, start thinking about what the hell we're thinking about, okay? So if you guys want to take a picture or a screenshot, literally everything I talk about from here on out, this is going to be the foundation of that, okay? I'll give you a couple seconds, 1, 2, 3, and on to the next. Okay, so now I was like, why is this happening? Why? I can understand the thought, the feeling, the action, or result, but why is it? High level call, people probably know what the RAS is. It's a reticular activating system. Very simply put, actually, I'm gonna walk through this like I do a live audience. So the reticular activating system is a part of the brainstem, and it pulls out what's relevant. So for example, I love Lululemon, okay? Now, when I started speaking on stage, I'm a warm-blooded dude. I sweat a lot. So I would wear these long sleeves shirts, and I would be literally sweating. People in the front row would be giving me a fucking water and be like, dude, are you okay? So I was like, okay, I can't keep that. I mean, it was like blotchy, gross, like chest sweat, right? So I went to Lululemon. A friend brought me to Lululemon, and I learned about sweat wicking and awesome clothes. So I literally threw out all of my clothes, and I got all Lululemon clothes, okay? Now, I had a whole experience at Lululemon. 2 guys worked for me. We had a place on the beach in Manhattan Beach in Southern California. We had a big party. A lot of the girls came to hang out with us, whatever. I had a big experience at Lululemon. I was there for like 4 or 5 hours because I was like, I don't like shopping. I'm not going to do this again. After that experience at Lululemon, I started to know the little Lululemon emblem everywhere, whether I was at the gym, working, whatever. I saw it everywhere. So I always have a question was that emblem always there? Or was it just a coincidence now that I was starting to see it? I don't believe in coincidences, number one, but it was always there. So think of a phenomenon that kind of like is like that. You notice something and you see it all the time. In a live audience, 95% of the time, people say car. When I buy a car, when I see a car, I see that car everywhere. It's not a coincidence. This is a part of our brainstem that pulls out what's relevant to us. So if I'm conditioning myself for bullshit, complaining, and bitching, what am I going to notice more of? Bullshit, complaining, and bitching. If I program myself for abundance and prosperity and empowerment, then my brain is going to pick up abundance, prosperity, and empowerment. So how are we feeding ourselves? We look at the conscious and the subconscious mind. Again, high-level group probably know this. Your conscious mind will feed your subconscious mind, okay? And that's why I love these types of things, because the people in here are investing their time so they can empower themselves to not rely on willpower. And the people in here that I like to collaborate with, because a lot of times people out there, they don't even know. Their awareness is so low that they don't even care, and they go down the rabbit hole of bitching and complaining, okay? So your subconscious mind is going to be programmed, and it runs everything. I'm a big fan of him. He changed my life for sure. But if Tony Robbins says all change must happen on a subconscious level, I ain't arguing with that guy, okay? Another reason is this is a little challenging online. Okay, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. Good stuff. It makes us happy. Those are feel-good chemicals. Dopamine, it's one of the main components in cocaine. And some people on the call may know this. But the dopamine, dopamine's not bad. It's all the other shit that cocaine is laced with, okay? But we can release dopamine whenever we want based on what we're thinking about. Oxytocin, serotonin, 90% of serotonin is made in the gut. Talk about gut health. Endorphins, the reason why people feel awesome after a workout is because endorphins are coursing through their body. Bad stuff, adrenaline, ephedrine, and cortisol. Poison, like literally is absolute poison, okay? I think somebody's on mute. I'm gonna check, no worries, I think we got it. So adrenaline and cortisol, bad stuff, okay? Good stuff, bad stuff. The good news and the bad news. We have a thought, goes to the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus secretes a chemical. Good chemical or a bad chemical? That's how powerful we really are. That means every single thought that we have 50 to 70,000 of them a day. Every single thought we have is going to empower us or disempower us. Not only that, it's going to fuel empowerment or it's going to fuel toxic chemical crap. So when we think negatively, literally from a cellular level, we are killing ourselves on a cellular level. And I don't have time to get into the acidity and the alkalinity and our blood needs to be at 7.36 and what happens to the red blood cells and how we get yeast and candida in the blood. But this is the start of it. This is the genesis of all disease, in my opinion. Okay. That's how strong we are. Now, when I first learned this, I was like, holy crap, I'm scared as shit. But then when I realized how powerful I am, I was like, now I can start to control it. Now I can start to manipulate it. Now I can start to really feed myself for me and the ones that I love. Another thing is cognitive dissonance. Really simply put, cognitive thought dissonance is anxiety, thought anxiety. In a short way, if I tell myself, I eat clean and healthy, I eat clean and healthy, I think clean and healthy, I think clean and healthy. If I do that every day, and then I don't eat clean and healthy, my brain is going to create, my body's going to create cognitive dissonance. There's a couple ways to get rid of that dissonance. Not tell it to myself every day, or do the things I'm telling myself to do. Whenever we've gone to pick up our kids, or we've been late, or whatever the case, and say we're supposed to pick up our kid at 3 o'clock, and we look at our watch and we're busy and it's 4 o'clock and that, oh gosh, you feel it, like you literally feel it, right? That's cortisol because of thought anxiety, because of cognitive dissonance. So how do we look at that and really update our brain? Our brain is 7 million years old, but it doesn't update like our phone. Our phone will update, our brain does not. It is built for survival and it is meant to conserve energy for you and to keep you safe. Okay, but when we want to grow, that's not safe because that's change and it's taxing on the brain. So the brain will say, nope, I'm going to shut you down. That's why 2 to 3 weeks is a cutoff in the United States for people sticking to their goals. Okay, so the way that we beat that and rise above it to rise above negativity, but also procrastination, very simply. So I'm just going to share you guys a template. This is what I use. I am grateful. I am excited. I am proud. I am grateful. I am excited. I am proud. I am grateful for my pulse. I am excited to share my vision with the world. I am proud of my ability to convert energy from negative to positive. I wake up every day and I say this to myself. Now, when I go out in the world and the crap storm comes and the complications come and the world's crazy outside, I have now a different lens in which I look through the world. I have a different filter. I have a different set of glasses to be able to view problems in the most productive way because it's empowering to me. So this is just a really simple way that people can start to change perspective if you do it every day. Again, that's why I do this so simply. It's not about scale. I would rather you do this for 30 seconds a day than 5 hours on a Sunday. It's not about scale. It is about consistency. If I had time to go into neuroplasticity of the brain and how we create synapses and neurons and all that stuff, it just has to do with consistency. Scale is irrelevant. The universe will not reward it. It doesn't care. It cares about consistency. You create consistency. Now the universe will bend to your will. Okay. So now how do we use this? I'm grateful. I am excited. I am proud. Just very simple affirmations. I enjoy the persistent pursuit of my potential. I got that from my dear friend, Dave Meltzer. I ask for help and I offer help. It is the greatest time to be alive to ask for help. Asking for help is perceived as weak. It's just one of the strongest things you can do, and we don't do it enough. Ask for help. Thank you, Dave. I love you, man. Muhammad Ali, I look at quotes as who said it? Did they change the course of human history? And if he said it's the repetition of affirmations that leads to belief, and once that belief becomes a deep conviction, things begin to happen, I'm not going to argue with that guy. I'm just going to do what he tells me to do. When we look at PMA, positive mental attitude, we look at the chemical and we look at the electrical reasons in the brain, a lot of times think to yourself, have you said in your life before, that resonates with me, okay? Chances are everybody on the call has seen this or said that. Resonation, do we know what it means? We say these things, but do we know what they mean? So a lot of times people go through a tough time, hey, and they send like a little meme or an emoji or a Bitmoji, whatever it is, and it says, sending you good vibes, sending you good vibes. Do we know what vibe stands for? If we don't, it stands for vibration. Everything in the world vibrates. And I'm not going to get too metaphysical here, but everything in the world vibrates in different speeds and frequencies. Plants, animals, humans, ourselves, sound, light, thought. thought will vibrate the fastest. Now, an example of that is when I say gratitude, abundance, prosperity, love, community, team, you probably feel a certain way. Now, when I say fear, depression, hatred, angst, resentment, you feel a different way. I pretty much just slapped people across the face, but I did it metaphysically, not physically. But now that tells me that now our cells, which are vibrating, what are we feeding it? What are we feeding it? So this is part in my live talk where I have people share their goals, things like that. If you do have a pen, write something down that you want to accomplish in your life. I don't care how big, I don't care how small, but we want to develop a magnificent obsession. So for example, the quick example of this is, let's say we want to make $500,000, okay? Awesome. Money is green paper with numbers printed on it. It doesn't do us a damn thing. It's what the money affords us to do is where the juice is. I think money is awesome. I want to attract as much as I possibly can because it helps me help others. It allows me flexibility, allows me time. I'm always working on my relationship with money, and I want to attract as much as I can. However, it's not the money that makes me happy. It's what the money can afford me to do. For example, I give to a charity every single month. Sometimes it's $20. My biggest donation was $1,500. Scale doesn't matter because I do it every month. But when you look at why you want to make money, dive deep into it. Develop a magnificent obsession. Do I want to buy a house? Okay, great. Why do I want to buy the house? Is it 3 bedrooms? Is it 2 bath? Is it in Bondi Beach where I freaking love? Is it along the Bondi to Coogee coastal walk? Where is it? Why do I want it? Do I want a yard in it? Do I have children? If they are they playing there? What is their favorite game? Do I have 1 child or 2 kids? Are those 2 kids playing? If so, what game are they playing? Do they have kids out? Is this where I'm going to have their birthday? Dive deep into the house and what that makes you feel. When it makes you feel a certain way, it just ignites you to be able to trigger that state of mind to take the actionable item to get the result. But so many people don't work on the fuel to generate that actionable item. And when I say start small, man, I'm talking start small. Do the math. If anybody knows this, think about it. How many minutes do we have in a day? Okay. We got 1,440 minutes in a day. That's all we got. 1,440. If I take 5 minutes and I divide it by 1,440, I have this number all over my house. 15 divided by 1,440. So that's 1/3. Like, who you see it there? I can't see it. That's 0.003. That is 1/3 of 1%. 1/3, not 1%, not 1% of your day. 1/3 of 1% of your freaking day. And then people tell me they don't have time. And I say, tell me again what you wanted and how bad you wanted it. So when I talk about small, 5 minutes a day, just looking over it. This will trigger your limbic brain, which is a big picture thinking. I love big picture thinking because when the world's chaotic and I got my big picture, I know this too shall pass. That's why there are so many ways to win now. Become a thought leader, serve your community. Your community will remember it. It allows us to pivot, allows us to adjust. And are there people dying right now? Yes. Yes, there are. And you know how I look at that? I have sympathy and empathy. But it also reminds me I don't have 1,000 years to live. That makes me do it now. Also, the way I honor those people is to make something out of my life. So that's how I look at that perception, obviously with sympathy and empathy as well. For those of you who do have kids, if you don't know who Napoleon is, he wrote the first self-development book ever, Think and Grow Rich. Anybody who likes Gary Vee, Tony Robbins, whoever your mentors are in this field, they got it from somebody who 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 got it from Napoleon Hill. This dude started it all. He's the godfather of self-development. The story is awesome. The book is awesome. I would dive into that. This is what I use. This is my vision board right here. We're in my room, my office. I go personally, I go clockwise. Right here are my family and friends, things that make me smile, places I want to go, places I want to live, and monetary value. Look at that. Look at that. That's Sydney right there, baby. I have that exact picture on my phone, and it was on New Year's Day in just one of my favorite parties on the island. I have that exact picture. but this fuels me before I go out in the day. So I don't pick this thing up first. I fuel my state of mind, then I pick this thing up. Now I'm just in a better state of mind to deal with the challenges and convert energy from negative to positive. This is my idea of winning the day, okay? Day by day, you do this for one day, you'll have a great day. Let me rephrase. You do this for one day, you're likely to have a great day, and when the crap storm comes, you're even more likely to convert that from negative to positive. Now you do it for every day for a week, you have a better week. Every day for a month, you have a better month. Do it every month, you have a better year. You see where that goes, and it's scalable, okay? Best practices. I'm just gonna fire all these up there. If you wanna take a screenshot or a picture, go ahead. People say at least, when we talk about energies and frequencies and vibrations, at least is one of the most minimalistic frequencies and vibrations out there. I got in a car accident, at least I wasn't hurt. I got fired, at least I have some savings. I'm glad, just switch it. I got in a car accident, I'm glad I'm okay. I got let off, I'm glad I have savings. If I don't have savings, I'm glad I can ask for help. Switch at least with I'm glad that. On an energetic level, which our cells operate on, it's a much better energy, frequency, vibration, whatever label that we want to give it. I can't. One of the most limiting beliefs in the world. I can't. People say it all the time, and they are programmed to say it. I can't afford it. I can't do it. I don't have the time. Blah, 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 freaking blah. What do you have the time for? Or I choose. So I can't afford it. I choose not to afford it. I'm looking at Mel Robbins, one of my mentor on my wall. She said, instead of saying I'm too busy, try saying it's not a priority and see how that feels. So when we just switch these little things, they come out more and more and more as we practice them. I don't have time. What do I have the time for? I have two businesses that are thriving right now because they're home-based businesses. And I said yes to these opportunities when I was traveling the world speaking. And I said yes to them because immediately in my brain, I said, I don't have the time. It's not about having the negative. It's not about not having the negative thought. The negative thoughts are going to come. It's about how quickly and efficiently can I convert it. So when one of my mentors brought a home-based opportunity to me, I was like, I don't have the time. And then I was like, Ricky, catch yourself. My awareness goes up. What do I have the time for? So I spent 15 minutes a day developing a side gig that has passive income, recurring revenue. It's in the health industry, and it's a home-based business. Think about what people want now. People want an empowered community, positive people, gut health, brain health, immune health. They want to be a part of something greater. They want to be able to make money from home. They want to be able to make passive income that's not dependent on the outside world. Because I had my mind switch from I don't have enough time to what do I have the time for? And I spent 15 minutes a day. Now I have two home-based businesses that are thriving. So that is a great way, but I wouldn't have had it if I didn't have that mindset switch 4 months ago, okay? I can't afford it. How can I afford it? A long story short, the house that I'm sitting in right now, I bought 15 years ago, and everybody said I was crazy. Everybody said I couldn't afford it, and I went against the norm. I shopped at the 99-cent store for a year. I ate ramen noodles. I had 2 people living in the guest bedroom, but I wanted it for my greater later, and I took risk. Risk is one of the best things you can possibly do, and not taking risk, I believe, is another pandemic. Now, are there ways to hedge our downside? Absolutely. But I think most people live in a comfortable world where everyone says, be safe. I don't believe in being safe, man. I believe in taking risk and learning from my failures. Conversion of energy. Perception will rule you until you rule it. And if anybody knows a guy named Victor, his last name is Frankl. Now, as we look to convert energy, so now hopefully people understand how freaking powerful this thing is, man. This is the most valuable real estate we got. And Napoleon Hill had a mentor called Earl Nightingale. They called him the Dean of Self-Development. And the Dean of Self-Development, if the Dean of Self-Development tells me that my brain is the most marvelous, miraculous, inconceivably powerful force the world has ever known, I'm not going to argue with that dude. I'm just going to learn how to use it and condition it and program it for me and the ones that I love. Okay, so Viktor Frankl, he said this quote, and I use this quote all the time: the last of human freedoms, the ability to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. He didn't say to choose one's attitude in the really easy times when things are going great. He said in any given set of circumstances, a pandemic is any given set of circumstances, okay? To choose one's own way. Why do I listen to this guy? So he wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. If you don't know this book, look up this book, buy this book, read this book. This dude was in Auschwitz, a prison camp in World War II, the Nazi Germany, right? He wrote this book, Man's Search for Meaning, because he credits this book to taking the most unfathomable, inhumane thing in human history, and he took that and he converted that to give his life meaning. And he credits this book to getting out of Auschwitz. So I take that, and the one thing that I say now, if I'm bitching and complaining, I say one thing. I ask myself one question. Is this a Viktor Frankl problem? And no, it is not. Is this a Viktor Frankl problem that stops my complaining in its tracks? There's no way I'm complaining after that, because none of us will ever go through, or should never go through, obviously, what Viktor Frankl went through. If that dude can convert energy and write a book called Man's Search for Meaning after he went through and lost his mother, his father, and his wife, who were burned alive, I can stop complaining, okay? And I heard something from a mentor tonight. He was like, what courage do people have? Courage under fire. What type of empowerment and courage do people have right now? Because now is when we're tested. When the economy is great and sunshine and all this awesome stuff, it's easy to think positive. It's easy to thrive. That's why right now is the best time in human history to pivot, adjust, empower a community, and thrive. When one income stops, what do we got? What people are learning right now is that they're transactional. And the weak, and this is just flat out, man, I ruffle a lot of feathers. Quite frankly, I don't care. I don't give a shit. Lucky for me, I stopped caring about what people think about me a long time ago. It's one of the most liberating things ever. I talk about what I freaking believe in. And look, the weak right now of mind are going to get weeded out. And for the people who can develop their minds and strength, what an opportunity, because there's going to be less competition when this is done. And this too shall pass. Okay? So when we look at perception, Viktor Frankl is my first thing. Is this a Viktor Frankl problem? Absolutely not. Then WWYMD, what would your mentor do? This is, I am literally looking at this on my wall in front of me. It is in front, I have a blackboard, and this is what would my mentor do. These are some of my biggest mentors. And Shanda Sumter is the only one that I've added. Tom Bilyeu, Lisa Bilyeu, Les Brown, Chase Hero, David Meltzer, Cole Hatter, Zach Folkman, Bob Proctor, Karolina Protsenko, learn from somebody younger. This girl is 11 years old. This is my family, my sister, my mom, my dad, Sonia Hatter. This is a quokka. For the Aussies who don't know what the quokka is, man, a lot of people don't know what the quokka is. Happiest animal on the planet. I literally went there this last December. I spent 2 days in Perth. I went to Rottnest Island. I spent 2 days with the quokkas, made an entire quokka video. It's about 13 minutes long. My YouTube is Ricky Mendez Speaks. Shameless plug for my YouTube, but there's a 13-minute quokka video on that. I suggest everybody, you can't look at the quokka and not be happy. You just can't. So it's another way to convert energy. The quokka is a mentor to me. A mentor to me is anybody that increases quality of life or business. That's it. If it increases my quality of life, which is business as well, then to me, that's a mentor. So I ask myself, if I'm bitching and complaining, or if I'm having a tough time, what would these people do? I'm not saying that they have to be your mentors, but whatever mentors you have, number one, if you don't have some, find them. They can be anybody. They can be older, younger, have passed away, have met, have not met, whatever. This is one of my, two of these mentors have been in prison. This dude, Weldon Long, was in prison 13 years. He read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. And 5 years later, he's making tens of millions of dollars in living in the beaches of Maui, okay? He was in jail, let me rephrase that. He was in jail for 13 years, 3-time convicted felon. He got out. When he got out, then 5 years later, he's living on the beaches of Maui making $10 million. How do you do that? This guy right here, Chase Hero, makes multiple 7 figures a month in e-commerce. He was in jail too. So talk about conversion of energy, because I'm like, I haven't spent 13 years in jail. What the hell am I capable of? So mentors allow me to have that perspective. So we look at mentorship. We see the timing that I'm on. Okay, I'm doing pretty good. This is something I do in a live event, but I'm going to give you guys another implementational thing to do. When the shitstorm comes, okay, when it comes, it's going to come, and that's okay. It's just, what tools do we have in our tool belt to convert? So when it comes, here's another tool. We all got smartphones, okay? Make an album in your phone and entitle it, I Am Great. I am great. Don't say I am okay. Don't say I am better. I am great. It's going to feel a little weird because we don't do this a lot. We don't tap ourselves on the back. Okay, we don't give her, you know what we're awesome at? Saying how bad we are at shit. Saying how terrible we are or how much we screwed up. What we don't do is, hey, I did some good stuff too. So to create this album, I Am Great, I usually have people raise their hands, but think about, have you helped anybody in your life? Anybody? Chances are yes. Also, chances are that they've said thank you in some way, shape, or form, through a voice message, through a voicemail, through an email, through a text message, something. Whatever you have where somebody has thanked you, screenshot it, put it in that album, okay? Now, when the crap storm comes, I can go to my album and I can just start reading, man. I can just start reading. And I can say, hey, I helped this person. Hey, I helped this person. Neurochemically, now I change. My perspective has changed. I cannot be grateful and fearful at the same time. I can't walk to my left and to my right at the same time. It's probably reversed for you guys. But point being, I can't be grateful and fearful at the same time. So that means every single second of every single day we choose. So this I Am Great album allows you to convert, course correct, and continue down the path to greatness. Another way, and I'll give you an example. So this is a guy that I coach. He said, Ricky, wanted to share something with you, bro. Took my daughter and niece on that Disney cruise. Just wanted to thank you for helping me with my goals and all your support. I wouldn't have been able to do so if you yourself wouldn't have worked as hard as you did to give me and us an opportunity to work with you. I appreciate you, Rick. Thanks again, brother. This guy had never made $40,000 in his life. He made, I think it was over 130 in that first year of us working together. And this was on his prosperity plan and his goals and his affirmations, the whole thing that we built. And he sent me that. That makes me feel awesome that I played a small part in facilitating his prosperity. When I read that, I can't be negative. I can't think negatively. Now, when we start this, you go back like a ping pong ball because you go to your I Am Great album and then the world's falling apart. I go back to my I Am Great album, the world's falling apart. So you're like a ping pong, and that's okay because that means you're making progress. Another thing that I have on my phone, that's my mom right there. That's my mom, my sis, my dad. Really close with my family, okay? We also, whenever I travel, I make everybody wear obnoxious tourist shirts. So we're actually all wearing these at this time. My mom was walking up the Eiffel Tower. She's scared to death of heights. This is her looking up, like and we're also like a 20th of the way up. People are like looking at us. My mom's starting to freak out. So of course I document everything. And I go back down and you can't see it, but her sunglasses are hiding it, but she's crying. She's crying pretty good. She's kind of bawling right now. And I'm like, we don't have to do this. We can go back down. We can go back down. It doesn't matter. We can take the elevator up. She's like, no, I can do this. I can do this with my family. You guys are here. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this with my family. And this is probably one of the most inspirational pictures that my mom made it to the top of the Eiffel Tower. I still get emotional when I see this. I still get emotional when I see this, that my mother, for her family, got up to the Eiffel Tower and in her I Love Paris shirt, basically got over her fears with the support of her associations. And I think that's what people need in the world today. They need empowerment through their associations. So when we look at that, what are the things that will inspire us? What are the things that are going to feed us? What are the things that are really going to get there? And when people understand that, we start devouring awesome shit. We start to look at the world in a different perspective. We start to look at life in a different way. And then people want to be around that. They want to be around that because you'll carry a different energy and a different aura. And in my opinion, there's nothing better than that. Oops, had a duplicate in here. So this guy, Albert Einstein, people say he's pretty smart. And he says that education is not the learning of facts, but of training the mind to think. And I think that is why this is the greatest time in human history, because not only do people not know that, they're not executing it because their awareness is so low. So my intention and my goal now is to raise awareness to change behavior. I couldn't give a fuck if people are pissed off at me, if I ruffle feathers, it doesn't matter to me. I'm continuing on my path that I set. So I think that's why it's such an opportune time now to make an impact. When you make an impact, you help people, you solve problems, you make money. Money's the byproduct. And I'm looking forward to helping a boatload of people, solving a boatload of problems, and making a boatload of money. okay? I'm gonna train my brain to think. So this is a call to action that I share. If you want to take a picture, if you want to screenshot it, whatever. And if not, that's okay too. So I always say, write a 2-line gratitude poem, share it with somebody not in the room. If people are going to post something, I love when people post their gratitude stuff and tag me in it. Commit to reading it every day for the next 30 days. Write down 1 or 2 things that if you did every day will advance you in your life and business. Write them in affirmation form. So for example, if we're in sales and we got to make 50 calls a day or 100 calls a day, whatever, cold call, I'm just gonna quick example here. I make 100 calls a day every day. So that if I don't do that, I experience that cognitive dissonance that we talked about. Google benefits of a positive mindset. Share it with somebody not in the room, somebody not on the call. This is so simple. When you start to Google these things, I started to do a new keynote that has how people are devouring content online, because right now people are devouring more content than ever in the history of the world. The things that they are Googling have to do with depression. There's things on, I think it's Google Trends, I'm not sure, but I looked at Google Trends and the people researching depression is astronomical. The people researching happiness is so low. I mean, it is night and day. It's my next keynote. But think about that. If we want to be healthy, we're not going to study sick people necessarily. We're going to study the people that are thriving, the people that are healthy. But yet we're researching depression at an astronomical level. And at least to me, in the States, we're taking more pills and sicker than we've ever been before. Share it with somebody not in the room. Share it with somebody not on this call. Because when you share this with other people, John Assaraf, a big mentor of mine, that's not on my wall. I don't know why that is. So thank you for helping me. That's going on my wall next. But when we talk about oxytocin, think of oxytocin with an O, others with an O. When you share your vision with others, you're going to release oxytocin, which makes us feel good, okay? The reason why people stop sharing their visions is because all the weak-minded and small-minded people out there, they're going to judge you, and that's okay. Because when we have this state of mind of what we're fighting for, a greater empowerment for us and the ones that we love, now it doesn't matter, and I keep sharing. And if I share with 10 people and 4 of them judge me, but 6 of them say, hell yeah, or did you read this book, or did you read that? Those are my tribe. That's how I filter out my tribe and my associations. We hear it all the time. Your network is your net worth, okay? So now I know as I develop my vision, I create more oxytocin, I feel better, I put myself in that state. Now I can take the actionable item to do what I need to do. I love this, man. What will you contribute to the world? That's a very simple question. And again, the universe will not reward scale. It will not. So when I ask myself, what will I contribute to the world? Sometimes it's a monthly donation of $1,500. Sometimes it's a book that I'm working on that I think I can change the world. Other times, I'm walking down the street, I smile at somebody. People will mirror us. If we smile, it's almost hard not to smile back, okay? Smile is so freaking powerful. And people don't smile because they get these lines. I call them happy lines, man. Because you want to get anti-aging, get grateful. Because now we're anti-aging on a cellular level, okay? So a smile, it can be as small as a smile to somebody to freaking cheer up their day. It can be a text message. Hey, I'm here for you. Hey, let me know what's going on. Is there any way that I can help? What do you think? Hey, how can we pivot in our business? These are ways to contribute to the world. The universe does not reward scale. It rewards consistency. So the scale is irrelevant to me. It can be a smile. It can be a $10,000 donation. It doesn't matter. But just do it consistently. So 2 of the most powerful words on the planet, and we'll get into some Q&A, is thank you. So I thank you guys for your time. This is usually where I hear applause and there's no audience. I am getting over myself because whenever I do a selfie video, and that's why I love Ella, she's great at these. I'm not. Not yet. I'm not great at it yet. I put yet on the end of everything, thanks to Tom, you. But when I'm like this, I'm very uncomfortable. In a screen with no audience, I can't read facial expressions. I can't give my high fives. So I thank you for making me better. Now, we've been going for about 50 minutes. I'm happy to stay on Q&A. I'm going to stop share my screen. Sweet, it looks like there's comments. So let me see here. So that's all I got. Ella, thank you for putting this together. And Preston, that's your name. What's up, man?
So far.
But I'm happy to answer any questions. Every time I answer questions, I get better, and happy to meet all you guys. And it's something that, again, this is making me better because I'm having to pivot and adjust not only my home-based businesses, but my speaking. I'm giving online seminars, and in my live events, it's very easy to read feedback because I can see people's eyes and their head going like this, and I can almost feel the energy, whereas here is a little different. So I got better today because of you guys. If people have questions, I can kind of see if there are any in the chat, or if people want me to unmute them, just go like this. Or just unmute yourself. Somebody got a question, shoot it out. I don't see any in the chat. Does anybody have any questions? And happy to answer them. I think the best way to learn is to ask questions. Anytime I go to an event, I force myself to sit front row and I force myself to ask questions. I'll ask questions you know the answer to because it gets me comfortable being uncomfortable. But if anybody does, if you want to, just, hi Ella.
Ricky, you're amazing. That was so good. Thank you guys all for joining. I really appreciate it. My question is for you. You know how we were chatting about yesterday, how when people are negative, say if someone came up to you and they're really, I feel like their go-to topic is the coronavirus, and you're just in your head, you take it on, you let it go. What is your best feedback? Like, would you say anything, or you just pivot in your mind and you kind of just let it go? You let that person just vent?
All right, so this is a great question and probably the most applicable, obviously, right now. This is what I do. I never say I have answers. I got ideas and opinions, okay? So when somebody gets really negative with me, number one, awesome. Opportunity, I can share a different perspective. Now, whether they take that perspective or not is irrelevant to me. So when they bitch and complain, or they saying the world's ending, or not even, it maybe it's just be like, I'm really concerned or I'm really worried, right? Whatever the case, whether it's bitching, complaining, whether it's like I'm just concerned or whatever it is. Number one, ask them, do you mind me asking why you have that perspective? Okay, now right now people are going to pour into it because of what's going on out there. When the world gets back to normal, say the same thing. Do you mind me asking why you have that perspective? Now, this is what's going to happen. They're going to purge on you. They are going to barf on you. They're going to barf all kinds of limiting beliefs and fear and all their opinions on why that is, because you just gave them a gateway to do that. You are allowing them to detoxify. You are actually doing them a favor by letting them get it out, right? When we have food poisoning, when our gut is jacked up, right, we puke. Our bodies are so smart, it'll get the poison out, and they get it out in the most efficient manner possible, right? So do you mind me asking why you have that perspective? Blah, let them go. And I'm talking, man, it could take 2 minutes, it could take 2 hours, right? We know people are pretty jacked up right now. Let them go. Do not interrupt them. Just let them go. Let them go. Let them go. Let them go. We might be there for a while, especially right now, right? Let them go. You're doing them a service. You're letting them detoxify. When they're done, and when they're done puking all over you, do you mind if I share my perspective? And now you go. And you go. And you tell them why this is the best time alive to be alive. And this is the best opportunity, especially for women, and especially for women thought leaders. This is the best time to convert energy from negative to positive. It's the best time in human history to ask for help. It's the best time for my business to pivot. And it's the best time when I come out of this, there's going to be less competition in my business no matter what. I'm excited. Now they have a change. And if they interrupt you, hold on. I let you speak. Let me speak now. Okay? Because when you start to go negative, and when you start to go positive, after they just puked on you, they're going to want to stop you. Because when people are empowered and making progress in their lives, we know this through the Aussies, right? The tall poppy syndrome. I fucking heard that, and I want to put a reverse engineer to that. So any people from the States, oh, hey, Kayla and Melissa, good to see you guys. So we have some Americans on the call, okay? In Australia, like you guys are going to be like, this is crazy. In Australia, there's a thing called the tall poppy syndrome. It's when people start to grow and develop and be empowered, people cut them down. Tall poppy syndrome. And I want to reinverse the meaning of that to poppy lift. If you're a taller poppy flower, who can you help to get to your status so you can grow and learn from that? And I know Kayla and Melissa, I know these two, and they're like, wait a minute, all our communities are trying to help each other, empower each other, help each other grow. So that's why they're going to interrupt you when you start going to the positive. Do not interrupt them as they're purging the negativity. But if they interrupt your positivity after you let them go, say, hold on. Look, I received yours, I absorbed yours, I listened to yours. All I'm asking for that same mutual respect to hear my perspective. Okay, so that's a long way to answer a question, but a very important one, because if are there, you don't have to answer this, but if there are smokers, if everybody's a non-smoker, which likely people are, I'm not talking weed, cigarettes. So likely there's not many cigarette smokers on the call, okay? Likely not. Now, if I'm sitting here and all you guys are right in front of me, and I take a cigarette and I inhale and I go, and I blow that all over everybody, are people gonna stay right there and have that smoke blown on them? Absolutely not. They would leave. But yet, when it's verbal and it's negativity, not only do we stay, we join. It's like taking the cigarette and smoking it yourself if you're a non-smoker. How stupid is that? I might as well take a brick and smash it on my head, right? But yet we do this all the time because our awareness isn't where I believe it can be, okay? So again, a long-winded answer, but when somebody starts bitching and complaining, I've been called annoyingly positive. And I'm like, cool, like, thanks. There's no way I'm gonna feed my cellular body anything else, because this is a biochemical, neurochemical reaction, and people can't see it. If you saw what was happening in your brain and in your cells with the amount of negativity, trust me, you would change, okay? So that's how I would handle that. If someone's being negative, let them purge, ask them if you can share your perspective, and it's not for them. This is the last thing on this question. If anybody else, I'll be happy to answer any others. It's not for them. Your opinion has nothing to do with them. It has to do with you. You're helping you in this process. Now, by helping you, if somebody wants to join on that bandwagon, great. Now we can be of service to others. It's just like we've heard it a million times. Fill your cup up first, feed the world with what overflows, right?
Ooh,
And we hear that all the time, and it's trite and corny because it's freaking true. What do they, feed your cup up first, fill your cup up first, feed the world with what overflows. We can't give from an empty cup. We can't give what we don't have. That's why we get on an airplane, the people on the loudspeaker, what do they tell you to do with the oxygen mask? They tell you to put it on first and then help anybody else. Same thing. We hear these things all the time. We do the exact opposite. So that's how I would handle that, Ella. Does that answer your question? Cool. Awesome. Anybody else? Questions? Unmute yourself. I love Q&A. Fire it out.
Ricky, hey, how are you? Preston, do you want to go?
Oh, no, you go. You go. I'll go after you.
We'll go Paris and then Preston. I'm happy I know your name, man. I was just like, dude, the guy reached out. He's fucking awesome. Go ahead, Paris.
Yes, Preston, I love your accent. I love New Zealander accent. Just gonna say it there. Ricky, how you going?
Awesome.
Good. So I guess I have two questions. So what is like your journey and your story to get to where you are now, being like a keynote speaker or implementational speaker? And then the second question would be, what would be like your advice, or what would you say to someone, or like any aspiring thought leaders, like especially being a woman myself?
Awesome. So I met Paris at an event that had a lot of thought leaders there, and she is a young woman entrepreneur that I was like, absolutely, her perspective is awesome. It's so refreshing to see that, number one, from women, but people that are in that arena. So shout out to Paris. My story, the quick version is, I was the CEO of a home energy company. We made your home green. I got into this. I see the book right there. It's Jack Canfield's Chicken Soup for the Soul. I remember where I was when I read this first story. I remember the people around me. I remember how it made me feel. And that story launched me on a journey. And so I've always had that since I've read that story. But I was a home energy company, and then we just did a wellness event. And a woman came up to me after the wellness event. She actually asked me to coach her husband, which I didn't do at the time. And I said, well, that's like, what's going on? She just confided in me. She was on a really tough time. I said, look, I'm not married. I don't have kids. I don't know what that's like. I'm not going to pretend like I know what that's like. But here, try this. And she tried something that I shared to implement with the gratitude poem. And she said that it completely changed the dynamic of her mornings. And basically, now she films her kids saying, they call them grateful fors. And now those two kids, when they get in the car, they say, Mommy, I'm grateful for this. Mommy, I'm grateful for this. Mommy, I'm grateful for that. And I think that is utopic, because those two kids are now going off and they're going to talk to two kids. Those two kids, they'll talk to two kids. Those 4 kids talk to 8 kids. And you have the power of exponential compounding leverage. So that's how I got into speaking, because I quit my job like 10 days later after that. It was the best feeling I ever had. I became addicted to it. Aspiring thought leaders, especially women thought leaders. If you're an aspiring woman thought leaders, find thought leaders, study them, devour their content, like eat it like you couldn't eat anything else. This thing, people say social media is terrible, right? Social media is not terrible. It's user error. If I'm using social media to not serve me, it's my fault. It's my fault. It has nothing to do with social media. That's on me. Always remember user error and take unwavering and relentless accountability for all of it. I believe I create everything in my life, co-create everything in my life, good or bad, okay? So Lisa Bilyeu, I'm looking at Lisa Bilyeu, Mel Robbins, Carolina Protsenko, Shanda Sumter. I'll give you a ton of them. But I would devour all thought leaders, not just women, but then dive into the women part of it. Absolutely.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Preston, you had a question?
Yeah, I do. My 6-year-old daughter was tuning in as well. And when you're talking about the outer environment and how others, or most of us, let it affect our inner environment, made me ask Amelia what's going on the, in the world today, how it's affecting her. Because I think, yeah, just growing up and what's happening today, it's gonna affect our kids, for good or bad or whatever it is. But she said, I asked her, how does all this stuff make you feel? Like, are you scared? And she's just like, no. And I know there's a lot of fear going on around there. And how you're saying how when someone shares their opinion and their perspective in a negative way, it's also important not to to absorb their energy. And because I've had discussions with a lot of people about it, and yeah, like you said, they just let them purge.
And that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, I'm like you, and always coming from a different perspective in a positive way, but obviously it affects them when you tell them. It stops them dead in their tracks and it makes them think. But I'm just wondering, well, the question here is how, because you're a father, right?
I'm not. I have no kids.
You're not?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Are you an uncle?
No, I'm not. But I do work with a ton of kids. I have a thing that's called Kids in Power. And right as you mentioned your daughter, number one, I use some colorful language sometimes because I get animated. Number two, I have a couple of Instagram lives comings with one's 7, one's 11. So if your daughter ever wants to do Instagram live with me, sometimes we need the kids to empower us. But I can answer with the best perspective that I can as a non-father to what I think of fatherhood.
Well, yeah, I was just going to ask, like, how are you going to, or how, like, if you're a dad, like, what would you, I don't know, how would you handle that situation?
So
to empower kids.
Yeah, and the number one thing, what's your daughter's name?
Amelia.
Amelia, great name. I would say, Amelia, what are you grateful for? See what she knows what it means. If she doesn't know what it means, what a great conversation between parent and child. Gratitude is when you're thankful for something, or when you have something in your life that you tell them thank you and it makes you feel good. And then ask it again. What are you grateful for?
We actually were doing that as you were describing that, how when you were pulling through the slides. And well, her answers were just really just fast, quick, and simple. And that was perfect. Just plainly just being here with me.
Okay, so then we take that answer and we take it and we develop it into the arena that we're in. So that's why I love kids, man. That, like, think about that. Think of what she just said, just being here. If anybody's ever read The Power of Now and being in the now, what a great answer. Just being here. You think the people out there can use that reminder of, hey, we're here and we should be grateful for it? But yet a 6-year-old has to reteach us that lesson. That's why kids are so powerful.
Well, because I believe, like we're me wanting to learn how she wants to be loved, rather than think how I think that she should be loved. She's taught me that, what she says, she means, and she means what she says,
And that's unbelievable. So Amelia, like, that's a really strong point. Just being here is good. How do you think that might be able to help the people that are scared or worried? See what kids say, man. It's amazing. Look, that Carolina Prosenko girl, I asked her, do you know what goals are? She was like, no. I was like, well, goals are something that you plan out, that you can try to achieve, that make you better. I said, do you think goals are important? She said, yep. Everything's a one-word answer. I said, why do you think goals are important? She gave me the best definition I've ever heard of goal setting. She said, without me prompting her, if you have goals, that means that you can grow up and be more than what you were. That came from, at that time, she was 10, a 10-year-old's mouth. I mean, that's the best definition of goal setting I've ever seen. And that's why the women opportunity is huge, because I can help Carolina from one perspective, but she's going to want more women thought leaders in her life. And she doesn't have a whole lot. There needs to be more of them.
Oh, cool. Well, thanks for that.
Yeah. No, thank you, man. Any other questions?
Hey, Ricky. Great talk, mate. I've got a question for you. Can you remember a specific experience of where you wish you had done something differently? If you were to do it over, like, what would you change?
Yeah. When I first think of that, it's a great question, because when I first think of it, I say no, because that's a great question. Have I had regrets? I guess there are some things I would have definitely done different, but my brain is so trained to say I've learned from it and I wouldn't be in the position that I was. And I'll share a very vulnerable point. I was fired from corporate teams 3 times in 18 months, literally fired. And this is when I've had success as in sales and a district sales manager and a regional sales manager and as a VP of sales. So I had my success in that arena. And then bam, 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 within 18 months, I was fired 3 times. That means I got to call my parents 3 times. The first time, screw them, they're assholes. The second time, third time, what's the common denominator here, right? Like, user error. So, but my brain has been, I literally put it's on my gratitude poem. I am grateful for being fired from the company that I helped rebuild, because it means tremendous opportunity lies ahead. I literally read that every morning. So at first, I'm like, I've learned so much from it, because that's all I will allow my brain to do is learn from my quote unquote failures. But are there things I would have done differently? Absolutely. Listen, like, I wish I was a better listener earlier on. I think people, we hear things, and myself included, I use hand action when somebody's talking to keep me from freaking opening my fat mouth. Okay. So I think listening, I wish I was better at that earlier. And I think it for sure would have saved me a lot of heartache. But if I was better at it, I may not have had the life trajectory that I've had. So I'm grateful for being a terrible listener early. But I think listening is so strong in active listening. Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He said, first seek to understand, then to be understood. And I think we want to puke on people and tell them what we think, that we don't listen. So yes, if I could change something, I would have been a much better listener earlier in my life. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that answers. One more sort of follow-on question. What is one piece of advice or practical advice you would give to someone starting out?
In what?
In this whole topic, sort of, like mindset and whatnot.
Another reason why we live in the best time ever to be alive, if we have access to so much, we have access, like, look, I'm going to even share my screen. I'm going to show you one of my best resources. All right. Oh, I got to exit out of my thing. And this is why I like going online for stuff. Okay, so when you Google impact theory, Tom Bilyeu, impact theory, YouTube. This is one of my absolutely favorite resources to get education in this arena. Like Tom Bilyeu, in my opinion, is one of my biggest mentors. I'm fortunate enough to go to his house and listen to him and watch these live interviews. But that dude was blowing up an air mattress in his closet with his mouth, right? Because he didn't have enough money. He was scrounging for change in his couch to buy gas. He put his house on the line. He sold Quest Nutrition for $1 billion. This dude is meant to make an impact, hence impact theory. But that dude is such an unbelievable resource, and he puts all of this content out for free. I mean, he has interviewed everybody from Tony Robbins to Dr. Joe Dispenza to Gary Vee to all of these people. So if somebody is just starting out, the biggest thing is to gain skills and knowledge. Knowledge first and then skills. So I would devour as much content as I can, but make it consistent. I would rather you watch 5 minutes a day than 14 episodes for 5 hours on a Sunday. Just keep it consistent, because you're going to rewire your brain to accept learning and to accept empowerment and to accept skills. So whatever it is, just keep it consistent. But YouTube is such a valuable resource. This is such a valuable resource. It's such a valuable resource because I like when I go to news, first of all, I don't watch. I literally did a Zoom call earlier today with the person that was so involved in conspiracy theories and had somebody ask me to get on a Zoom with him and his wife. I said, turn off the freaking news. It doesn't mean we have to be like completely ignorant. We want to know what to do. Wash our hands, social distancing, all that stuff. However, where I'm going for my real news of what's going on, Tom Bilyeu, Lisa Bilyeu, John Assaraf, Jack Canfield, Dave Meltzer. These are the people that I want to influence the most marvelous, miraculous, inconceivably powerful force the world has ever known. So again, a long-winded answer, but research people that want to make an impact on the world. That I would start with impact theory, Tom Bilyeu. This is his shirt, brick by brick. Okay. Does that answer your question?
That's brilliant. Yeah, thanks, mate.
Yeah, no worries. Love your accent. Anybody else? Any questions? Any concerns? Yep.
Hi, Ricky. Can you hear me? So Navjot here. I have a question for you. You said that you left your corporate world and then you started speaking. What was the process like for you? Can you talk us through that?
Yes.
Because I am a big fan of impact theory. I've watched pretty much, you were speaking about it. I was actually looking to sign up for Impact Theory University as well. I recently met Tom Bilyeu. He was in Sydney, and what a guy, man. Like, so I'm at this stage where, okay, I have the knowledge, and my question to myself is, now what? What do I do with it?
Perfect.
So I wanted to, and I'm in the same stage. I got my contract finished in January. I'm struggling to find the corporate world. When I go there, I feel like I'm trapped, and that's why I wanted to know what was your process and what happened for you. Like, how did it all merge and blend it together?
Okay. I love that you've gone to see Tom. How do you pronounce your name?
Navjot.
Navjot.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I'm going to take a picture. I forgot to get this earlier. All right. And now, Tom and Lisa, I'm doing an online retreat with some Aussies and New Zealanders, and some of them saw you, Tom, in Sydney, and we are talking to him about Impact Theory University and how the impact it's made on my life. Navjot, can you say hello?
Hi, Tom. It was
Awesome,
so
man.
awesome to see you, man.
So awesome. You're making an impact on the world and on my life. Thank you, Tom, Lisa, and Impact Theory staff. Okay, so you go and do, like, you've got this knowledge, right? And you're thinking about going into the corporate world. You're saying what next in that arena. Is that correct?
Yeah, so my question is, okay, so I want to be an influencer. I want to be a speaker. I want to be a life coach.
Okay.
I've went through each of the university. The way I structure myself is I will watch an Impact Theory interview, hands down. moment I connect with someone who, I will go research those guys. So I have content around, so I have a lot of knowledge now. My question to you was that how, once you went through the knowledge aspect, what happened for you? What was your process like?
Okay.
At what point was it apparent for you that corporate world is no longer an option for you? You are going to go explore the speaking option and become who you are. And were there uncertainties? Were there ever a time for you where you were sure this is for you, or you just started even when you were uncertain and things just fell in place because you had taken that first step? So that was the question.
Okay. So there's about 5 questions in there. I'm going to take them one at a time. Okay. Okay. So number 1, how did I leave? I quit, man. Now I have a very high tolerance for risk. I love risk. I'd rather take risk and fail and fall on my fucking face than never have tried. Okay. So that's me. I have a very high tolerance for it, because what freaks me out and what scares the ever living shit out of me is not taking risk. Okay. So looking back, when I die, we're all dying someday, man. We're all going to die. We don't have 1,000 years to live. So when I look back, the last thing I ever want to do is I should have tried. That keeps me up at night. Okay. So I have a very high tolerance for risk. So I just quit, man. I quit a very comfortable mid 6-figure job. And then I spent $150,000 in the next 7 months and did events for free. Now that's me. I'm not saying that's everybody, but I just go cold turkey. Okay. It forces you to ask for help. Now, I'm not saying you need to do those resources. I had been successful, so I had some resources to launch my business, right? If you have no resources, it's an opportunity to ask for help. So for me personally, I just quit. I went cold turkey. Now, did I have anxiety with it? Hell yes, I did. I'm in year 3 of my business. Year 1 was like, can I actually do this shit? Are people going to listen to me? Are people even going to show up for free? Like, I had free events, and I'm like, man, I hope people show up. I would call my best friends, like, dude, can you just come? You know, I didn't charge anything, nothing, right? So did I have anxiety? Absolutely. Every single self-doubt, limiting belief creeps into my head. Like, am I good enough? Will people listen to me? People will judge me, everything, right? But I was attached to my greater later of making an impact on the world. And thanks to Shanda Sumter, she gave me a phrase that I use all the time. I actually believe I can change the world. So I had something that I was attached to that let me go through that, and I had a support system. I asked people for help, okay? So did I have anxiety? Absolutely. My year 1 was, can I do this? Year 2 was like, okay, how do I structure this? I got to get good now at this. And now I'm in year 3 is just exposure. I am so confident in the message. I'm so confident in how I'm delivering it. And people are giving me such great feedback. Just get me exposure, man. So I think everybody should subscribe to my YouTube. Just kidding. Not kidding, but thank you.
I just did.
Yes. So I ask for help, man. I ask for help all the time. I think it comes from strength. So did I have anxiety? Abso-freaking-lutely. But I also had people I could go to that would be my squad, my empowerment team, the people that cheer me on, the people that would say, hell yeah, you got this. Okay. But also the people that will tell me what I need to hear, not what I want to hear. So did I have anxiety? Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I went from making a bunch of money and not spending any of it to spending a bunch of money and not making any of it. Okay. And in year 3, I say this humbly but proud. I have all my gigs are canceled but I have gigs in October, September, where I get $12,500 for an hour. Right. But that was a journey. You know what I mean? So did I have anxiety? Absolutely. In terms of the corporate world. Now, if you were, so you're in this, number one, I'm coming to Sydney at some point. We're going to do events. You're number 1, whatever the events charge, you're in free. And 2, let's talk about it, getting some stage time. Okay. So this is why the world needs that. This is an empowering community. I believe in the Poppy Lift. Okay. So whatever I can do to help you, I will do it. Get with Ella, get my information. I don't care if it's a speaking event. Let's discuss on how you can get some stage time, or even if it's 2 minutes. So how do you transition if you don't want to go to the corporate world? How do you develop the skill? For me, you don't have to have anybody around you to have an event. You can have an event speaking by speaking in the mirror. Okay. I spoke in the mirror. I spoke in front of people for free events. It's just, you want to get your lessons and your stories. You want to share lessons through stories. So what is the lesson that you can bring to the world? You have this knowledge, start to construct the lesson that you want to construct. And then what's the story you're going to tell? Okay. So I believe that gratitude is the biggest antioxidant on the planet. It converts energy from negative to positive. It shares a perspective. My mentor, Dave Meltzer, wants to inspire 1,000 to inspire 1,000 to inspire 1,000, 1 billion people on the planet. I want those people to write a gratitude poem, okay? So I share the lesson of gratitude and perspective and the story of what the scale is I want to go. I'm piggybacking off my mentor in that sense, right? But that shares a story. Lesson stories, lesson stories. What's the lesson? Tell a story. Because people won't remember it unless it's attached to something emotional. Stories are emotional. I think that's all of them. Does that make sense?
Yep, that makes sense.
Cool. Awesome. Super cool. Great questions, by the way. Any other questions? Anybody at all? If not, then thank you to Ella. It was great meeting you. She came to our networking event in Sydney, and I love learning from Ella, and I appreciate her putting this on. Thank you to everybody. If anybody has any questions, this is what I believe is why this is the best time, because it's creating community. Would we be on this call if it weren't for coronavirus? Not a chance. Not a chance. So now we get to learn. I get to learn from you guys. I got to get better because it's not a live event, which makes me uncomfortable because I can't read an audience. Hopefully you guys took something in a way that increases your quality of life. Hopefully you can share that with people. So all of these great things we're pivoting and adjusting because of the pandemic that's happening in the world, you know? So that's it. Ella, I'll let you take it away. Thank you again. And let me know whatever you need from me in terms of support or anything that you need.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you, Ricky. Thank you, Ella.
Guys, this is also going to go live. So if you feel like you got something away from this and you want to share it, we'll put it on YouTube, and then feel free to share it, because I feel like what Ricky's sharing, everyone kind of needs at the moment. So thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.
Good seeing everybody.
Take care. Bye. Thank you.
Yep. Bye.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Thank you.